What's up, everybody? It's Crash. Got another Battlefield 6 video for you today. Not gonna waste a bunch of time. I do some other BS. Link to that BS in the description. Let's get right into it. So Battlefield 5, kind of a flop. I looked up some stats on it. It was the 14th highest selling game of 2018. Not very good. It was the first time not in the top 10. 1 million less copies than EA anticipated. This was from their earnings calls back in 2019. Just the player base was frustrated due to crazy cosmetics. They broke the time to kill twice that no one asked for. There was just kind of a lack of content too. Like the free content was nice, but it was drip fed. I mean, you guys know the story. We all played it. We were all disappointed. But I want to look at DICE this go round, what's changed there, look into some of the reasons why it was a flop, and just kind of see from this standpoint if Battlefield 6 can be turned around, if they can redeem themselves and give us the game that we want. They did it with Battlefront 2. They listened to people. There were a lot of people frustrated with the loot system, and they turned Battlefront 2 into a great game. So let's hope they learn some lessons, and Battlefield 6 is going to be great. So let's dive right into it. So something I thought was really interesting as I was looking around on the internet was there's a website called Glassdoor. And what Glassdoor is it's a place where employees can rate their places of employment anonymously. And then other people that are potentially thinking about working there can go and read these reviews and see if that's some kind of place they would like to work at. And there was one review that really kind of gives an insight into what went on at DICE with some of the head scratching decisions that they made regarding Battlefield 5. Basically, the TLDR on this is they say that upper management ruined the game. They pushed through their visions and ideas without inputs from devs. They cherry picked social media. So they would just find the few players on Twitter that liked the ideas. I would present to you the case of the horrible TTK decisions where they rebalanced all the guns, made everything shoot marshmallows. And it also kind of explains the cosmetics and the overall direction the game took several times. It completely veered off from what players wanted. And this review from this former designer gives us kind of an insight into what actually went on. It just really talks about cronyism, upper management doing what they wanted to without any kind of input from experienced designers who know how a Battlefield game should run. This paragraph sums it up pretty well. It says, despite the protests from people below them, leadership slammed their decisions through with near fanatical conviction. Unsurprisingly, these antics and the overall general lack of confidence have led to dozens of people leaving. Those vacancies will inevitably be filled by people loyal to leadership regardless of competence. That's not a great outlook for the future, but we have to remember that money talks. So I'm hoping that the people above DICE at EA see some of these reviews and some of these developers speaking out and actually step in and make changes and say, you know what? Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, that worked financially. Battlefield 5, not so much. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Warzone, free-to-play Battle Royale, that worked. Do that. A lot of these reviews also mentioned how the people that they worked with were very talented, and that can be seen. It's supported by the very good core gameplay in Battlefield 4, Battlefield 5, Battlefield 1. The gunplay was still good even in Battlefield 5. I feel like it's kind of underrated. The team play, the healing mechanics where you can revive your squad mates is great. There's certain things that are good. And of course, like all the recent Battlefield games, the visuals are awesome. So the talent is there. They just need good ideas from leadership that are supported by the player base. So it's not really a question of can DICE make a great game? It's more of a question of if they're going to. For that, we need to look at the management, the people making the decisions. And I did my very best to scour the interwebs to try to see if there are any differences in the shot callers for BF6. I did my best to find what I could. If there's anything I missed or anything you guys know of that are pertinent to this conversation, I would love a comment about it. Bring it up, we'll discuss it. I answer all comments to my videos. I want this to be a place of discussion so we can all kind of see what we're going to expect for Battlefield 6. One of the first people I want to look at was one of the most vocal in response to the player backlash of Battlefield 5, and that's Patrick Soderlund. At the time of Battlefield 5, he was the CEO of DICE during the development, and he's basically the one that said, if you don't like it, don't buy it. I'm fine with either. Over the inclusion of women and the radical cosmetics of the game. This sounds a lot like someone who can't take criticism and gets defensive about others' ideas, like we talked about in that Glassdoor review of the company. He should have given the Battlefield community a lot more credit. I feel like he should have said something like, immersion and fun are the pillars of our games and what video games are meant to be. We want all members of the community to feel like they are on the battlefield experiencing the most authentic World War II experience we can provide, while allowing players to play as characters that they can most identify with, that are most like them, including women. He's gone. He left. He's now the CEO of Embark Studios, and they're also working on a third-person shooter game that looks pretty interesting. But to tell people that you're okay with them not buying the game, it sends a strong message that you really don't care what the players think. I see both sides of the argument. There's a segment that wants the game to be authentic and real, and there's also people and ladies that play the game that want to play as a character they can identify with. They want to be themselves, dropped into World War II, playing on the battlefield with everybody else. So I think it should have been approached from that way. I definitely think women should be in the game, but I think the intent should have been not, you guys are misogynistic people that don't appreciate women. It should have been, we're including women so that when they play, they're immersed and feel like they're there. The second person I want to talk about is David Sirlin. He was a multiplayer producer for Battlefield 5 and 4 and 1, some really good games. And he was really beloved by the majority of the community. He was accessible on Twitter. He engaged with the community quite a bit, but he left the studio to work for Shark Mob on an undisclosed project. Him leaving is not really very good, but hopefully he didn't leave due to overbearing management continuing on Battlefield 6. I'm hoping he left because he was looking for a change, wanted to start a new venture, and hopefully the person that replaces him in that role is someone that understands the player base of Battlefield. Another high-ranking DICE employee that I could see filling some of those roles that were left by David Sirlin is Alexander Grundal. He was the executive producer on Battlefield. One of his major quotes he said when it came out that was circulating around the internet was, "We will always put fun before realism." And on the surface, that sounds kind of scary because we want a realistic game. We want to feel immersed. We want it to be gritty. But in my opinion, it's a game. It's supposed to be fun. So being fun should be your top priority, unless it's Tarkov, and then they obviously put realism before fun. But games are meant to be fun, other than that one. He also worked on Battlefield 3, 4, and 1, which still is a pedigree of pretty good games. He has a history of making decisions on some really great games. He knows what a good Battlefield game needs. And let's hope he has a big say in how Battlefield 6 is going to turn out. So this is pretty much all the pertinent information I could find. I'm just hoping that they learn from their mistakes in Battlefield 5. They build an immersive, content-rich game that is fun and competitive. And at the end of the day, money talks. And I hope and I expect DICE and EA executives have learned from their mistakes. And basically the countdown is on to Battlefield 6. We'll see you guys on the next one.